Hi, Carol here, and welcome to my craft room. Well, today's a Christmas card, and we're going to take a piece of 80-pound cardstock, 10 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and we're going to score it right in half, which is 5 inches. And the reason for this is going to be the base on the inside of your 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. It's a standard A2 card, and this is just slightly, ever so slightly shorter than 4 1/4 inches. It's going to rest on the inside of your card. You want it just a tad, I'd say a 1/16 of an inch shorter. I'm going to score it here on the 5 inch mark, so when you fold it, it's in half like this. You can see how much flimsier this cardstock is to my usual 140-pound, but you're going to need to punch it with a 2 1/2 inch punch of your choice, but 2 1/2 inches, or die cut it 2 1/2 inches, and 3/4 of the way slide your punch up and then cut it off. Now that we have this already folded in half, you're going to need a piece of nice sturdy acetate. Now I cut it all the way, but you don't need to. You only need to have it 4 1/4 by 2 inches to seat right on the inside of this folded base. So I'm going to open it up now that I punched the 2 1/2 inch circle out, and you notice it's about 3/4 of the way that I punched it to give me quite a bit of room so that my floating sentiment has a nice amount of space. I'm going to score it 2 inches over on each side of the middle 5 inch fold, and you can choose whatever length you want for this, but I wanted it to be stable on the inside of my card, so I went a little long. Now I'm going to take the acetate after I score it here, and I'm going to seat it on the inside, so I need some double-sided tape to go around here. So now is when I realized I don't need that much. And I cut it off at the 2 inches here. I put some score tape on the inside of that 2 inch slot right here, and then I'm going to seat the acetate down. And this is a really fun looking card when you open it up. So now I'm just going to cut it off, and you want something really sticky on here to hold that acetate down. And then I just cut around the edges of the circle, and then I'm going to seat that nice thick acetate, and we're going to begin this really cute card. I've used this Impression Obsession die. It's an ornament die, and the number of that is DIE 353-YY, and I'll put in the subscription box the card that I did using this die. It's another Christmas card I think you'll enjoy. So anyway, we'll move along. We're going to take the double-sided tape off, and then we're going to seat that acetate, and that's where we're going to get the base for the floating ornament. And actually we're going to have a floating sentiment, which looks really nice when you get finished doing this. And as you can see, it's the 2 inches, and then when you fold it back, look at that, it flips open, and whatever image you want to put on the acetate will look like it's floating. And I chose to do the ornaments and to do a floating sentiment saying Merry Christmas. This is not a difficult card, although it looks like it is, but it isn't. It gives the illusion that you took hours and hours and hours to make it, and in actuality you only took hours. So let's carry on here. Now I'm going to seat this in a 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 inch cardstock. That's 110 pounds. This is the white cardstock I get at Michael's. It's wonderful. If you can find this in the black and the beige and the white, you will really be happy with it. It's a really nice thickness. So I'm going to score this in half, and this is going to be the base. You'll see why I took a sliver off of the beginning piece of paper that we put down, the cardstock, because you want to not have it overhang once you seat it on the inside of this base. And I'm just going to grab my Teflon bone folder. I love this bone folder. And I'm also going to take this, after I crease it here, I realize I want to have a 1/16 of an inch gusset for this to rest on the inside. That way when I fold it, it gives it some room to little bit of movement room, and it's not going to pop open all the time because I'm going to have that tiny little bit of a gusset in the middle. So just slide it over and score it. Now I made the mistake of putting a lot of my flat dies in a bag and zipping it up, so I'm not sure where this came from. It could have been MFT when I ordered something. I got this as a free gift, but I love them because you get the word attached to an actual line. And we're going to use this for the front of the card. And then I took a small die that said Merry Christmas. I liked this font. I'm sorry I don't know where this came from. I've had it forever. But this is the one I want to use as the floating sentiment. So find a sentiment that is delicate and light, but yet has a bit of firmness to it that will hold up. And I'll show you how we're going to do that to make it hold up. And then you'll understand how heavy the cardstock needs to be. Now I'm going to move along and I'm going to cut that love die so that I have a nice straight, I'd say probably 1/16 of an inch on the bottom is what I end up using underneath. And we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to do some distress inking. We're going to use some real pretty colors for that. Here's the Impression Obsession die with the numbers in case you really like it, and it's a nice big die, which I like. I did 2 of these dies. They're all attached, which I really like. I did not cut them apart. And we're going to keep the guts inside the die once we cut it. And I'm going to do it on 2 separate 110-pound cardstock because we're going to do direct paper to ink. And we're going to use distress inks. And I'll show you the colors that we use in a minute. And I love this because we're going to get a lot of flourishes that play an importance to having this floating sentiment. You're going to need some flourishes to do that, just a few, and this die enables you to have that and to do corners. It's a wonderful, wonderful set. Now you can choose whatever 3 colors, light, mid-tone, and dark ink. And we're just going to do ink to paper and run it along here like this. And I find blue for Christmas cards and silver glitter looks absolutely gorgeous. So that's what I chose to do with this set. And the nice thing about the cubes is if you miss anything later on, you can just go back and color it. So I used the tumble glass, and I used the Mermaid Lagoon, and I used the, let me see, Stormy Sky is next. Good guess, wasn't it? The traditional Christmas colors would be nice too, to add the reds, light, dark, and mid-tone reds, or in the greens. But I thought the silver glitter paper with the blues like this would look gorgeous. And I just put it whatever areas I wanted because it never looks the same once you take the guts out of the paper. When your die is complete here, it's so pretty. And then if you missed any spots, you can just take the little cube and go over it, and it looks beautiful. Then you're going to take the silver Stampin' Up paper, glitter paper, whatever glitter paper you have, and run your die through it one time, and so that you have one extra set for the back of these. And now we need to get we pick all those little pieces parts out so that the silver glitter paper will shine through here. So once we get all of this out, we're going to take the glitter paper and just put the circle up against it and freehand cut it. You don't need to, they're different shapes, believe it or not. They're not exact, like say 1-inch shapes, all of them to use a punch for the glitter paper. So I just set it up against the paper and then I fussy cut around it. And then on the backs of these, I took a glove, and I ended up not using the glove later on, but I wanted to get some of that silver rub and buff so that I had the glittered silver and the flat silver. And I'm telling you, you don't need much of this rub and buff. I get this at Michael's. You get it in gold and you get it in silver. And it does help if you put the plastic bag on 2 hands, because I'm just transferring it over to my other hand. It's pretty funny. But I kept going in and out to wash my hands because I ended up taking the plastic bag right off. But little bits of this flat silver up against this beautiful sparkly silver looks very nice. And I'll show you why we needed to do the front and the back. So see here, I'm just guessing with the circle. Just take it a little bit like this and then come around. If you have a nice detail scissor to do this, it doesn't take much time at all. You can tell I'm editing this late again, but that's okay, yes. And this card has a lot of little details. You know, if you watch my videos, I like to do detailed anything with my projects. It's just relaxing to do it that way. And here I'm adding the silver to the inside of the die cut that we inked, and then we're going to place it on the acetate. And then I took some glue, mono multi glue, and I put one in the front, and then I grabbed another one to place on the back. And that's why I put the rub and buff, so that you could see through and see silver and not white cardstock. But I wanted to have a balance of different, you know, like we have the sparkle, and then we have the flat silver, the sparkle silver, and this way we get balance of different mediums that we use. And now we start the floating decoration. Isn't that pretty? I just think this is a really cute card to open up, and it really does give the illusion that they are floating with that acetate there. You could do so many things. I was thinking of doing snowmen on there as well for another card later on in the week. And there you have it. We have 3 different ones. You can see I have the silver and the rub and buff, and on the other side I have 2 rub and buff and 1 silver sparkly. And then I kept the stems short so that they didn't come outside of the card base. I'm going to need some of the ornaments here for the front of the card, and we're going to do that with the Stampin' Up! Snowflake embossing folder right here. So I'm going to take the 40-pound Stampin' Up! Vellum, set it inside the Stampin' Up! Snowflake folder, and I'm just going to fussy cut around there just to, we'll cut it off later. I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine, and my die cutting machine, of course. Yes, it is late. That's okay. So now we have it embossed. Yes, here comes the daubers. Haven't used these for a while. So I want to match up the colors, so I take out the 3 colors we used with the ornaments, and I'm setting them there to make sure I get it right when I put it on the vellum. And I'm going to take my Merry Christmas right here, the extra one, and I wanted to just show you something here. I added this to the video. If you want to make an extra thick sentiment, all you have to do is die cut it 3 times on one sheet. So you have Merry Christmas 3 times, and then you can take your daubers and you can go over light, medium, and dark, which is really easy because they're inlaid. The guts they're already maintained in the die cut, so you can go over it and add all your color, pouncing it on, and then you put the glue on the next one up, and then you can add however many layers you want to add thickness. This is how I do it. And then you end up with a nice thick Merry Christmas by the time you get up to the 3rd die cut. But for this card, I kept it 1. But I wanted to show you this, that you can get a really thick look, and it goes by very quickly if you leave the die cuts, which I call the guts, inside the die, and then work from bottom to top, adding the glue. I just put it right on with my finger there. It's quick and easy peasy, and you will have a nice look, especially with intricate, delicate dies like this. This works very well to get a thick cardstock cut out. I was going to use this sentiment on the front of the card, but I ended up not doing it because I had it as the focal point on the inside. But I thought I'd keep it in just to show you you can dab your glue and you can put the ink on one Merry Christmas and then dab glue on the white Merry Christmas and add that to this portion, and then take it out and add it to the upper portion, and then you have a Merry Christmas that's three high, which is nice and thick, and you did it all from the same card base right here. I set that aside to use on another card, and now we're going to work with these ornaments that are floating on the acetate, and I want to connect the Merry and the Christmas because they both have these little flourished ends, which were perfect, so I glued them together. Now, see that little wee stem from the ornament right there on the left? I put some glue on that and each side, and so that I could work with it when I set the M down. And I took the middle M because it was the thickest on the Merry right there, and we're going to set that up right behind there and glue it. But you will see once this dries what else we do. I'm losing my voice. Yes, it's just before bedtime. You'll see how this will come together to look like there's no stems whatsoever behind there. And we'll do that later. So I connected the Y to the C. See those little curves there in the letters? And I put a little bit of glue behind there with my pokey stick. And then you're going to hold that M onto that stem. Hold that M under the stem. Yes, hold that M under the stem. Just singing that twice should have it glued down. Yeah, it's late. It is. I should be sleeping instead of doing this, but I really couldn't wait to get it edited and up for you. Get the edit done. How's that? So now I'm taking some of the little bit of blue I got on my hands and have it on that M. I scraped it off so you can't see it. And then we're going to move forward to, doesn't that look nice? I just love this look. I think it's wonderful to have a floating sentiment. Plus, you get floating decorations. Think how cute it would look with a snowman there, with his little twig arms holding up Merry Christmas. That's my next card. Now here's where we prepare the front of the card. Not only do you have this wonderful element of surprise when you open the card in the center, but you're going to have a beautiful front card for the recipient to look at. And we're going to use vellum, and we're going to use our inks and our Rub and Buff silver on the vellum. We're going to run it through the snowflake Stampin' Up! Die. We're going to take that little wee die called Love that we cut out here, and I'm going to put some Rub and Buff on the top, and then I'm going to do light to dark with the distressings in the same blues along there, and we're going to use it on the front piece. So look what we have. Is that not gorgeous when you open up the card? So you have the Merry Christmas floating, you have floating ornaments, and now we're going to put these wonderful flourishes on, just to take away from that stark white there. So grab those, they come with the die, so, oh, don't get stuck in there. And I'm going to situate them with the silver, so I'm going to have the inked ones and the silver pieces that we die cut. You have to do it with the front and the back. Now here it is, look at, we're going to cut with some precision scissors, we're going to cut out the little pieces that you can see holding the M, that little piece. Just cut it nice and thin, take out all the little pieces of the paper, and watch when I hold it up. It honestly looks like it is not hanging on to anything whatsoever. I just love that, and it's all in the way you situate those pieces of flourishes. You only have two of them, and then you hooked those two middle letters together, which gave it stability. Wowzer, look at it. I just love it. I've been thinking of making this card now for days. I couldn't wait to get started. You know, once you have something in your head to do, and you know I love to do anything with a lot of detail, so this was a whole lot of fun today. I know you're wondering, Carol, when is this card ever going to end? Isn't it funny that I used to, when I didn't edit my videos, people thought they were way too long at 29 minutes. And now I edit, and I haven't had, I don't think, a card video under 30 minutes since then. I'm going to try though, I really do. But when you have cards that have this much detail and you want to add that little extra something something to your card, I think you have to go a little longer to express it, and show all the little things that you did to add to the card to make it so unique. So now we take the vellum, and we used our rough and buff silver on it, and all of our different colors from the distressings with our daubers on there. And now I'm going to take my Martha Stewart scoreboard, and I'm going to put two little marks on one side, and right here I put 4. And you want to turn it over to the ugly side of the vellum, not the pretty side, and then that will push out the score marks so that they're pointing up on the nice side. So I have 4 score marks there, and I have 2 on the other side, and all that is just for distraction, just to add some prettiness to the vellum. And then I'm going to do the same thing to my cardstock with these snowflakes on them, but I'm going to do this in the shape of an L. I'm going to do 2 lines on one side, 3 lines and 2 lines on the other for an odd number. So that would give me 5 score marks. And don't forget to turn the ugly side down and the pretty side down, and you're working on the ugly side so that the score marks pop up. Yes, and I just think it adds an element of beauty to the card without having to do very much. Isn't it nice? I'm just making sure that they're nice and deep so that when they pop up, they look the same as the actual embossed snowflake. It's seated nice and high. Now we're going to work on just making sure that those score marks are nice and deep. I think it just adds character to the inside of the card when you open it. I'm going to take some glue dots and strategically put them behind these snowflakes. I have a 1/16 of an inch double-sided tape on each side where I drew the score lines, so you're not going to be able to see that. And then you're going to turn it over, you're going to take that off, you're going to put it down on the front of your card base. Isn't that pretty? That's pretty in itself, but you want to add a little bit of character by using those dies with the decorative circles in them. So now I am just making sure that the score lines we put in are even, and now we're going to add these beautiful decorations, the die decorations, the ornaments. We have 3 of the actual ornaments that have the sparkles on them, and we have the wonderful flourishes that came out from the die in itself that we actually put ink on here in the blues. And then we have the silver, and I think by situating them so that there's a little bit of open space down there would be fantastic. I take the line here and I make a little tag out of that. Isn't that cute? And I'm going to set it right there for now till I situate this other one. And I think with the grays and the blues and the snowflakes being embossed, sticking out, and those lines on the L at the bottom and the side of this acetate, it really gives it a whole lot of textures. We have so many textures going on here, it's crazy. Then I'm going to snip the end of the flourish off so I just have the piece of the decoration there. And there we go. I set it there. Isn't that pretty. Oh, I just love it. And now we're going to seat the inside. I added glue, the detailed glue, to the back of this, and I put it down because this way I had some movement. Remember, we have that little 1/16 of an inch gusset in the center where we put, you want to put that middle mark right in that gusset so that when it closes it has room. You have your Merry Christmas, you have those beautiful decorations floating on the acetate. And now we're going to take these 110-pound cardstock that we ran through the snowflake Stampin' Up! Embossing folder, and we're going to set it right here. Remember, we scored on the left side and on the bottom, so we have 2 and 3 lines that are those nice score marks that stick up, and we did it for both sides, the front of these elements and behind on your card. And it's just came out so pretty. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm going to take my 3-inch sequin tape. I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to put it on the other side of the actual inside of the card so that it's really, really sticky and doesn't come apart, because I do have that piece there underneath. I hope you were able to stay with me through the whole long video, and I hope that I was able to inspire you in some ways with different techniques to do a card like this. I think it's really pretty. Once you do one, I think you'll have it down and it will go much faster the next time. So I got to seat this thicker cardstock, the 110-pound right there, and then I'm going to put some of this sequin tape, double-sided tape there, and on the other side. I really want it to stick well. I don't want to risk this coming up. And once we get that off, and then see how you have that beautiful L shaped from embossing those lines on there? It just adds something, don't you think? So pretty. And then you have the continuation of the snowflakes on the other side, and then you have the stripes going in a crisscross. Your ornaments are floating on the acetate, and your Merry Christmas is up there in the air. Look at that. What more can you ask for in a Christmas card other than the dot on that eye? And I'm going to have that floating up there. And here's the front of the card. Isn't it pretty? I'm just going to make sure that all of the bottom is even. I'll cut it off. I saw that there was a little strip I needed to cut off. And look at that. I hope you liked it. It has a lot of different textures, a lot of different elements, but basically just a few colors, which makes it really nice. I'm going to go to the cutter and cut the 1/4 inch off each end, and then I'm going to add these leftover flourishes just to add some something on the inside. I struggled a bit not knowing if I should have left the inside white and had my focal point with the Merry Christmas and the ornaments being floating there. But the more I looked at these leftover pieces of silver and flourishes and the colored ones that we did, I thought it would be nice to run a few of them on each side and take away some of the white that was left there. You don't have to put too much. Little, is always good. And so I decided on these two. I'm going to put some glue on the back, add it to the front side and to the opposite side of the card right there. Once you place them down, you'll know exactly where to put the other one. And I kind of snuggled it into the V on this part, and I was happy with this card. And once I get that little piece of acetate behind the eye and I add that dot, so I have that dotted eye on Christmas, yes, it's going to be perfect. Look at that. Isn't that nice? And then I turned it around and I did the exact same thing to the other side, and look at that. Don't you think it's wonderful to open a card like this? For somebody to see all those beautiful colors and transitions and the beautiful embossed areas that our scoring areas, excuse me. I'm very happy with it. There's the detail glue I used. Well, the 5,000 subby album, my lace album, is near complete, and I'm looking forward to seeing the videos on my friends' lace channels showing their pages, and I'll have that together soon. And then there was no pressure on that whenever they get them finished. I want to thank you for subscribing to all my new subscribers. And I want to thank you, those that have gone over to Catherine Pooler's site, Stamp Nation. It's just a wonderful place for crafters to meet. So I encourage you to step on over there and check it out. I know Catherine would love to have you visit. Okay, take care, everybody.